Good morning, Madam AD. So this is a meeting to address board vacancies. Just want to talk about the governance committee itself. The governance committee, as currently constituted, it is inclusive of Chairman Norman Griffith, Vice Chair John Allen, and myself. When you look at the committee's charter, it makes it clear that the committee shall have the responsibility for recruiting, training, developing, and monitoring the trustees. Beyond that, the committee has the authority to monitor the capabilities of trustees, meaning assess the board's needed capabilities, identify, solicit, and nominate prospective candidates. So I want to clear the fog here. This is not about violating the committee's charter, but this is about inclusion before, or inclusiveness rather, before the committee goes in to do its work and then come back to the full board with recommendations. Um, Pardon me if this is kind of post-traumatic board stress from a period where there was not the necessary inclusiveness, I believe, that was warranted. But I believe in being overly democratic rather than undemocratic, and that's just me personally. So again, we are not usurping the committee's authority, but I proffered that we have this meeting so that as we do a needs-based assessment, that we be inclusive of the group to talk about what we think we need to round out the team so that we are innovative and generative, particularly when we look at Reach 2026 and the priorities that the president has outlined. Obviously, you know, being a tandem, if you will, working collaboratively with the administration. We want to align ourselves with the goals of the administration, and obviously those are student success, academic excellence, infrastructure, operations, and obviously really good financial stewardship. So as we go into the committee, getting ready for March, I wanted to have this conversation to open it up to everyone so that we could talk about what we think our needs are. And so your perspectives can inform our work as a committee. So hopefully that kind of clears the air, explains why I wanted to be inclusive this morning. And now I'll turn it to our chair of the committee, of the governance committee, Norman Griffith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure serving as the chair of the governance committee for the past 6 years. And I just want to say that, we're doing our best to accomplish the things you're talking about. The ongoing monitoring of trustees and their expertise and how that's developing isn't something we've been focused on, but I'm glad you mentioned it because I think going forward, the committee can do that. The committee right now is in a little bit of a state of flux. We've lost two members to resignations from the board. And and so right now the board is comprised of myself, Trustee Allen, and yourself as ex officio, and that's pretty much the governance committee at this point in time. We are really hoping that these two vacancies on the governance committee itself can be filled, as quickly as possible, and with full, with concurrence between your office, Mr. Chair, and the committee. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk about in terms of the vacancies. Overall, the whole 15-member board, we have four vacancies. Um, I don't want to call out names, but people left for various reasons, and there's 4 vacancies. 2 are governor appointed, and 2 are board elected. And I may be forced to call out names because of that. But in any event, 2 are board elected, 2 are governor appointed. And we have asked, General Counsel Moultrie had sent out a reminder on my behalf or on the committee's behalf several months ago, and I think she sent one reminder out to board members to suggest possible candidates, or like as you like to say, Mr. Chairman, people with interest, and that's the number. We've got 5 of those people right now that have sent in resumes, and I have spoken to all of them verbally over the phone. Most of the questions revolve around time commitment, and things of that nature. And I tried to do my best to explain as much to them as possible, but without raising their hopes, because like I said, we only have 4 positions, and one of them is a little tenuous. It's not for sure how long that one might take, and that's one of the governor elected ones. But in any event, I just want to say that we're trying to fill these 4 vacancies, and I think part of this meeting's purpose will kind of lead us in the direction of looking at, what kinds of skills, experience, uh, and foundation candidates bring to the table, and whether or not we should expand, the number of candidate or people of interest. Let me use the right language here that might be interested in serving. Originally, this meeting was supposed to be where the governance committee comes up with a motion for the full board to fill these vacancies, and that's not going to happen at this meeting, but it may happen it will happen at future meetings if we follow the code. So that's pretty much all I have to say. In addition, one other thing, if any of you have other candidates, just give me a call or General Counsel Lucretia about the living, where they live, because these 4 vacancies do have to meet a geography requirement. As you just generally, the governor appointees, out of the 8 people he appoints, 6 have to be representative of the 3 counties in Delaware. So that's 2 from Newcastle, 2 from Kent, and 2 from Sussex. And on our side of it, the board elected trustees, 1 has to come from each of the 3 counties, 1 from Newcastle, 1 from Kent, and 1 from Sussex. So as you talk to people, where they live does matter because of the nature of the code. So the geography does come into play here. And so as you talk to people that you think might have an interest in serving on the board of DSU, be sure and ask that question. We don't want to waste their time if they're not in the right county for whichever one of the 2 methods they'll come in at, either board elected or governor appointed. And with the governor appointed, make no mistake, the governor makes the decision, not us, not the committee. We all we do is recommend candidates to the governor, and he can accept them or reject them. But those 2 of those 4 vacancies I talked about are governor elected, and they have to be chosen by the governor. Mr. Chair, unless I've left something important now, please, that's pretty much all I'm going to report on at this particular meeting on behalf of the governance committee.
Thank you, Chairman Griffiths. Much appreciated. And you did so without mentioning the particular people of interest, which the General Counsel reminded me that we should not.
Yeah, she's reminded me too.
Okay, very good, very good, very good. And we will have an executive session where, we will be able to speak about particular folks of interest, if so desired. But at this time, what I would like to do, which I think was really the catch point of all of this, was to hear from the individual members or my peers on the board about what they believe would be the prudent mix, if you will, as we look at what's on the horizon for the institution, again, as visualized or envisioned by the president, our CEO, and by the board in terms of strategic direction. So, what say each of you with respect to what you would desire? What's the desired state of the mix of prospects that we are looking at as we do a needs assessment, if you will?
Chairman, I'm happy to chime in. It's Chip.
Please.
Good
Good morning, Chip.
everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good to see everybody. I think that given some of our discussions around fields of study that we have at the university and the need for greater diversity in some of those fields, healthcare, for example, sciences, for example, discussion that we had together when we were together in December. I think we ought to be thinking about that as we think about representation here on our board, that it aligns to, as we're going through that work, that it aligns to areas of interest that we're focused on. So that would be one. And then the other would be, there is a real need for us to continue to invest in the university. And so as we think about those things, just consideration of, in particular from an athletic standpoint, what are we thinking about there? People that have a means to support it, perhaps from that standpoint. So that's just some thoughts that I have as we think about this discussion. That's all.
Thank you, Chip.
Can I just ask a question? When we talk about which counties are open for the governor appointments?
Norman, do you want to weigh in on that, sir?
Yes, I'm trying to remember, two of the people that have trustees that have departed were both from Newcastle County. I think one of the two recommendations, this is a recommendation, I'm just dealing with the governor's side of things right now with this answer. I think one of the two people that we recommend to the governor has to live in Newcastle County. With respect to the other counties, I don't have the list in front of me. Is Deputy General Counsel Moultrie on the phone? Do you happen to know the geography for the governor appointments, Lucretia?
I do. Good morning,
Okay.
trustees.
Good morning.
So as the chairman mentioned this morning, our board is composed of 8 governor appointees, 7 board elected. The 8 governor appointees, you'd have 2 from each county. There's currently a vacancy in Kent. There's a need for an additional trustee in Kent County and an additional trustee in Sussex County. With regard to our board elected positions, we have a vacancy, a single vacancy for Kent County. And then, of course, we have, let me back up, 7 board elected, 3, one of which has to come from each of the 3 counties, meaning there could be 4, there are 4 unrestricted positions. So we have, we need a Kent County trustee, and then we have an unrestricted position as well.
All right, so Madam GC, let me ask. So with respect to the governor's, I guess, mandated geographic obligation. So which counties are mandated right now?
Kent and Sussex.
Okay, so he has, now we have Trustee Saunders and Trustee Collins. Now, and they are both in Sussex. I just want to clarify.
Oh, yes, that's correct. My apologies. So we have Trustee Saunders and Trustee Collins.
Don't forget me.
Yes. Trustee Allen, if I'm correct, you are a board.
Yes, but I am Sussex now.
Yes, that's correct. I have you correctly listed as Sussex County. So just to be clear, make sure I haven't made any errors. For Newcastle County, I have Trustee Griffiths, Trustee Tice as as governor appointees. For Kent County, we have Dr. Wilma Mashu, and then a vacancy. And then with regard to Sussex County, we have Trustee Colick and Trustee Saunders. Then we have the governor has 2 unrestricted positions. And currently we have Trustee Castle and Trustee Stewart on the board as well. They both happen to be in Newcastle County. With regard to the Board of Trustees elected positions, 1 Newcastle County positions required. We have Trustee Harrington. 1 Kent County positions required. We don't have anyone for Kent County. 1 Sussex, we have Trustee Allen or Vice Chair Allen. And then we have 4 unrestricted. We have Trustee Ridgway in Pennsylvania, Trustee Rossi in Newcastle County, and Trustee Watley in Newcastle County as well. Then we have another vacancy.
Okay.
Could you just go back and you said you don't have any in Kent County? I must have missed something.
For a board elected position.
Okay, thank you. That's what I missed.
But we do have you as a governor appointee in Kent County. And I'll send out a chart to everyone via email, just so that you can quickly reference it.
Okay.
General Counsel Moultrie, just one other question. For governor appointed, it sounds like we have 2 unrestricted, but for board appointed, how many unrestricted are we able to? 4?
4.
How many vacancies though?
1.
1. Okay. Thank you.
And I'll send that email to everyone right now so that you can reference it.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
Please do. So in sum, it appears that there for the governor, there's a Kent and an unrestricted, and for the board, there's a Kent and an unrestricted. Okay, fair enough.
That's correct.
Fair enough.
And Mr. Chair, can I say one more thing? And
Please.
all the trustees, as you're talking to people of interest that show an interest in joining the board, obviously this is one of the questions that you'll be asking, but as you seek their resume or CV. And the point is, check back with the committee, because you're not going to all know all knowledge at the same time. And if we fill some of these vacancies and it's no longer an issue what county the person lives in, that's one scenario, and you'll know the facts at that time that you're talking to them, and you can tell them. But if you don't, then that's a good way to just keep us all on the same page, because these things are gonna be happening at different times. We will be calling another governance committee, because if we have to, not have to, but if we make the motion to the full board as to who the committee recommends, that'll be at one time, but the stuff leading up to that will not be. And you'll be out there, talking to somebody and not know that another trustee already has somebody, and all like that. So it's important that, we keep coordinated in this whole effort, so that, we don't have an extra amount of people from a certain county and then not enough for the other side, whichever way it goes. And again, I just want to emphasize, with the respect to the governor, and I'm not saying this to minimize our work, but it's just a recommendation. He has to make the final decision.
Chairman Tice, it's Ridgway. I have a question,
sir. Good
comment.
Good morning. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So my question is, will the governance committee spend time with the governor on the governor appointees to share the vision that we're talking about today as a board? So he would carry forth that same thought process when he's nominating potential board candidates.
Hey, John, that's a fabulous question. You must have worked out and had your coffee already. So the answer is unequivocally yes. And what I would say about Governor Carney at this point, my last conversation with him struck me as, yes, he will accept our advisement, but he is being independent. That's my interpretation of my last conversation with him. But we will do exactly as you stated. We will talk about this full board deliberation. We will talk about the needs assessment as we see it. We will present him prospects, and then ultimately, it's going to be his call. You know, I will say this, going back to my prior experience on the board. You know, I would hear about that discussion with the governor, and it struck me as the board, this board's leadership really did attempt to be persuasive, if you will. And you know, to the extent that we feel strongly about you know, a prospect, I submit to you that maybe we should try to be persuasive, as it will relate to particular prospects.
I agree.
Thank you. And ultimately though, again, the purpose for this morning and the purpose for the meeting we have around actually comprising our list of prospects, my endeavor is that it first of all be democratic, and then I take my cues from you as we go into that discussion with the governor. It's not you know, an insular circle of people making a decision about because I've seen where that gets us. Okay, so this is again democratic small d, and we will submit to the governor, and we'll be persuasive if we can. I'm gonna tell him John Ridgway said so.
Please do. After Wednesday, that's when I do lifting. I'm a little bit stronger. My comment would be, I agree with all the discussion regarding the technical skill sets that we're looking for. But I also look for an individual that probably have a certain level of accomplishments in their field of study or wherever they're in. Also, someone has appreciation for our history and our culture, and demonstrated strategic thought or leadership. I think those are equally as important, particularly when we're talking about the future direction of the institution, and individuals that will engage in healthy conversation and help drive change. So those would be the things that's important to me.
Well said, sir. Thank you, sir.
I'll go, and sorry, my computer died, so I had to switch computers midway, so I think I heard most of it, and I do agree with it. They have to have some understanding of the university and a love for it and a passion for it. But I do worry that we have lost, and I don't know, well, I think we can say the people that we've lost. You know, Jack went on, Mike Castle, big names that can open big doors for us. And so I agree with everything that's been said in the past, but I do think when we look at what's ahead of us and how exciting it is, that we do need people that can open not just local doors, but also national doors for us. And we need to keep that in mind when looking for people.
Well said, ma'am.
I wish I had said that. I just want to double click on that point, and I also want to go back to Chip's point earlier, because I think that those are some of the things that, and I don't know all the candidates, but I just think as we continue to think about viable people, that we really make sure they can open the bigger doors, that they're strategic thinkers, even financial literacy. I didn't hear anything about that, but I think, you know, individuals who have a strong financial acumen are important. And I just want to make sure I'm clear on my understanding of when we say unrestricted, does that mean they don't have to be in any of the they don't have to be in Delaware at all?
That's
I just want to
correct.
make sure we're dreaming as big as we can in terms of who we'd want to sit in one of the seats, because I think the seats are an honor to sit in, and we just want to be really thoughtful in selecting the candidates.
I think that's accurate. No in-state restriction period.
This is Marlene. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
We can see you too.
Okay,
You look
well,
lovely, by the way.
well, good morning. Good morning. As I think about the kind of people we want on the board, what comes to my mind is my experience since being on the board. And it seems like as soon as the announcement went into cyberspace, I became a lightning rod for calls. You got to take care of this. You got to take care of this. But the thing that I extracted was that these calls came from alumni who I believe, as a group, represent one of our strongest door openers. Because I think the extent to which they can be, ambassadors to what we're doing and how they see what we're doing and the direction they believe that we should be going into is something about which we need to be attuned to. I'm still on a learning curve, so I don't know how the board connects to alumni, but I think the alumni with whom I have talked are some real deep thinkers, and they're strategic in terms of where we need to be going, and their passion for our history as an HBCU is just is unwavering. And I think when you think about some of the negative comments that have been made about HBCUs, I think we need to have someone on the board who can speak to that. I mean, when I came on the board, I made it known that I'm a social worker, so I'm grassroots, voice oriented to the people. So I think we need to have someone who has the expertise that we need, but at the same time, they are connected to our alumni and parents. I think President Allen has talked about a community engagement component that allows us to have consistent, direct relationships, with community, because our community expects something special from us that they won't get from other colleges and universities, since we are the first choice for people of color. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saunders. And I would ask or even task you with, and we'll figure out which committee it belongs in, but with the alumni relations piece, and John Ridgway is, I think, the alumni voice, if you will, informally. But John Ridgway certainly attempts when he needs to keep us on task in that regard. But I would also like you to think about what that looks like in terms
Okay.
of connectivity to the alums. Obviously, it is near and dear and a passion for you specifically. I'd like you to
Yes.
think about what that looks like.
My pleasure.
And and give us your input, and we'll figure out which committee that belongs in.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. I haven't heard from Dr. Michoud. Now, come on. You know we're waiting, right?
That's what
Yes,
I'm doing.
indeed.
I'm just
Yes,
waiting. I'm
indeed.
just waiting.
You know we're waiting.
Yes, indeed.
Let me just say that I do agree with everything that I've heard so far. It's hard to say one is more important than another, especially since we're, getting ready to embark on so many things all at the same time. But I certainly, number one, coming from Kent County, and our main, real estate being here in Kent County, I have to advocate for Kent County and say that I think that we need some more representation from Kent County. The far-reaching, that trustee, um, excuse me, I'm sorry, Stewart mentioned, is certainly very important. And I think we have leadership in terms of our president, number one, who has done a phenomenal job with the far-reaching. But we can't forget about the local as well. And we need somebody on the inside who has those contacts, who can reach out and touch those contacts, and that community engagement that we talked about, I feel, is extremely important as well. In addition to that, you've heard me say many other times that I think we need someone, as John has indicated, with accomplishments and experiences in higher education. I think you also mentioned it, Trustee Tice, when you talked about, no, I'm sorry, when we talked about the different programs that we're engaging on, academic programs, we need somebody from academia who really can be in touch with that as well. I see you frowning, but those are my opinions. In addition to everything else that has been said, I think we have to put some weight on those two areas as well. Now it's too quiet.
Thank you, dear. No, and you said a frown. Maybe I just look that way. I'm not.
Oh.
I guess that's the way I'd listen. But I'm writing everything down, so maybe that's intense. I
Okay,
think
thank you.
and I'm probably too intense too often. But no, I
We need visionary. And let me also say, you know, we've all been to the AGBs. We've all heard that the relationship between the board and the president is most important as well. And I do firmly believe that. And so even though the committee and the governor, you know, they get to make those decisions and choices, I hope they will take into account what's best and who will work best with the president in carrying out the vision for the entire university.
thank you, Doctor. Reverend Allen.
So as a member of the governance committee, I was really just kind of sitting back wanting to hear what everybody else had to say for input. But I would say, and I did ask GC Moultrie if we have a copy of the last board matrix that we put together, because I think we may have to take a little bit of time and look and update that matrix. I mean, because as I think about some of the things that folks have said, you know, you think about AI and how do we need somebody with an IT background or infrastructure, IT infrastructure, whatever it might be. So just throwing that out, we may need to take a look at that matrix once again. So that's it for me, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that in addition to the wonderful comments from our peers, I think that's what will inform our discussion at the committee. I was thinking exactly the same. Is there someone that has not spoken? Ms. Stoner, you with me?
Mr. Chair?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Griffiths.
Yeah, just one administrative thing. It's not so much as substantive as the other input has been. But
Okay.
you know, and I know we can't do anything about the timing of when the governor finally appoints somebody. I know Marlene must have waited about 10 months from the time she first was aware there was a board opening until the time she got contacted. We don't have any control over, you know, the governor when he's making these decisions. But we do have the control over the board elected positions. And I would just say that when we look up and several months have gone by since we first contacted the person, and they expressed a lot of interest in joining the board and they had the right qualifications. We get back one way or the other, you know, in terms of this person just kind of living in limbo, wondering if they're going to ever hear from DSU. And the timing is just something I want to put it. I know the people on this phone call can't do anything about that, but if there's any way we can, you know, try to be as timely as we can to get back one way or the other so they can move on to something else and not know that this potential offer is on the table. I think that would be good because I really felt so bad with the people I talked to, including Marlene, that you know, they were still waiting and waiting, and you know, and as I said, if it's a governor appointee, there's nothing we can do about it except, you know, tell them, you know, we can't, you know, constantly bug the governor about acting on some of our recommendations, especially if he has somebody else in mind. But, you know, it's just one of those things that's administrative. And I just wanted all my colleagues on the board to know that when these delays happen, it's not that we don't have an interest. It's just sometimes our hands are tied.
My reflexive reaction to that, and you mentioned earlier that we don't make representations that this is a sure thing, right?
Right.
So my reaction to that is if someone expresses interest, and I'm an alum, I have a lot of friends, and trust me, I went to pick up my dinner the other night and an alum expressed interest. But I would never tell that person that there is a likelihood, there is a probability, that there is a possibility. I wouldn't say that. And the only thing I say is that it's a caution that we don't express that. Again, it's a possibility, it's a likelihood, it's a probability. I say I will take back your interest, and that is where I leave that. So I don't create any anticipation. I don't create any expectation. That's my my reaction to that statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Is there anyone else that wants to be heard?
Well, just let me
Yes.
say this, and I want to kind of follow up
Yes, ma'am.
on what Rich Wade said in terms of conversations, with the governor, and it's the politics associated with ending up on the board. You know, I don't know how much I can say about my conversation with the governor, but it was clear to me that there was some discernment on his part in terms of who I was. Um, and what he expected of me. Um, and of course, in response to that, I said, well, you know me, and you know I'm going to speak what I think I need to speak. So, and I'm just putting that out, as a reality factor that I thought about. I don't know if anyone else has thought about the political factor that's associated with, being, ending up on the board. I didn't know, it did take a long time for me to get on the board, and I didn't know why. But you know, I I just wanted to share that dimension that impressed me.
Thank you. And noted. Anyone else?
I have a question. I'm
Please,
new to the meeting, and
please.
so I have a concern, and I don't know if this is the right platform to bring it up in terms of the college, because I have a student presently at the college, and I've had some pretty serious concerns that have not been addressed, and she's consistently tried to address them, and whether it be on campus staff has not gotten back to her or handled it, or whether
Can
it's been
we,
others.
can we perhaps handle that off the call? I mean, this is in a public meeting. I don't know. Did you sign up for public comment?
Um, no, I don't think so. I think I just logged in and said, go to the agenda or call.
All right. Let's, we can obviously address your issue, whatever it is, but I don't know that this is the forum to do that publicly
Okay. Yeah, my other major
without
issue,
signing up for public comment.
that's fine. My other major concern is about one of the athletic programs.
Okay. So the protocol.
Okay.
Okay. And I don't know you personally. I don't know your background. You say you have a student at the school, and
Yes.
obviously, we are absolutely committed to making sure that the outcomes are what they need to be for that student. I just need to make sure that we do this thing in
Oh yeah,
order.
no. So I'm also a
Okay.
law student, so I just want to also
Very
I want to
good.
go about the protocol
Very
correctly.
good.
I just
Very good.
didn't know what the correct forum
So
was.
can you, all right, and I don't, so for example, if I want to reach back out to you, like I don't want to ask for your telephone number in a public setting, right? So I don't care about giving my number though. Let me give you my number and I want you to call me immediately after this meeting. Okay?
Okay.
302
I've done 302.
333
Done 302 333
5043.
5043. Okay.
And I'm writing down your name and I'll be expecting your call. Call me at about 10:30 if that's okay.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
All right? No, thank you. Thank you. Ms. Stoner, are there anyone signed up for, or is there anyone signed up for public comments?
No one is signed up for a public comment.
Okay, can you run through the announcements, dear?
Absolutely. Al, can you please bring up the agenda? Okay, thank you. Again, good morning, everyone. Just very quickly, the announcements are as follows. There will be a board committee meeting day on March the 7th. That will include the committee meetings for athletics, student affairs, academic and student success, innovation and sustainability, and the governance committee. There will be another committee meeting day held on March the 21st. That will include the committees of audit and ERM, operations, and the executive leadership committee. Our next full board meeting will be held on March the 28th. We also want to give a gentle reminder that the commencement day is going to be held on Friday, May the 10th. And that concludes the announcements. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else on this meeting have anything to add in the way of announcements to that list? I would simply state that we're going to have the MEAC in there somewhere. I think that's the week of the MEAC basketball tournament, which is very important, which many of us live for. And hopefully we're going to be there until the weekend. Right, Madam AD? Oh, okay. And I think that's the week, Madam AD, remind me which week that is. That the 12th?
Yes, sir. 12 through 16.
Okay, so March 12th through 16th. So if you can make it to Norfolk, please do. We would love to see you. But hopefully we're going to be there through the weekend. Right, Madam AD?
Yes.
We will be there for the weekend. If you look at the 4 games that we've lost in conference, we've lost by a total of 8 points.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Right.
sir. Yes, sir.
We'll be there.
We'll be. I like that. I like this, John Allen. Bring that guy back. Make sure that guy stays around. Okay, very good. Next order of business is executive session. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. We will now move into executive session. Madam Stoner, it looks like all necessary parties are here.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. We're just scrubbing the list to make sure, and then we're going to lock the room.
Very good.